Hello everybody and welcome to the Fitness Reloaded Weight Loss Habits Academy. I'm your hostess Maria Berlaki and today we will be discussing the 31 small habits you could be starting today to lose weight and then keep it off for the rest of your life. Those are 31 habits. I have them right here. These are all things that my clients do in the Weight Loss Habits Academy to lose weight and then retire from weight loss. Okay, and the way that I'm gonna walk you through this video is first, we're gonna discuss what is a habit. Then we're gonna move on and discuss what is a small habit, what is a big habit, what is a ridiculously small habit, so you understand the difference. And then I'm gonna walk you through the habits, and I have grouped them into different categories. So we're gonna do, let's say, exercise and nutrition and so forth. Obviously, there are more than 31 habits that we could be discussing today, and there are a lot more than we do in the academy, but this is a great start. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do all 31 habits. In fact, in the academy, we do 10 or less, usually around 6 is a very good start. And with that said, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, what is a habit? So a habit is an unconscious pattern of behavior. So it's something you do automatically, you don't have to think about it, or at the very least, semi-automatically. Let's say every time when I open the door, I use my right hand. I don't use my left hand, I always use my right hand. That is a habit. Just like after I wake up in the morning, I go straight to the bathroom. Another habit. You don't think about going to the bathroom, you just find yourself there. This is why habits are very powerful with weight loss. Because if you make the right behaviors into a habit, then you do the right thing without thinking about it. So you don't have to, let's say, force yourself to exercise. You just go ahead. Let's say you wake up in the morning and you put your workout clothes on and you go do it. It's really, really powerful. At the same time, when it comes to bad habits, if the wrong behaviors are wired into habits, then those are the things that you do automatically without really thinking about them. And that is how you, let's say, find yourself munching in front of the TV. Now let's move on and discuss ridiculously small habits, and radical change. So this is something I go through in depth in my book, Surprisingly Unstuck, the Power of Small Healthy Habits in a World Addicted to Instant Results. Go there if you want to check it out, okay? And let me start by saying, what is ridiculously small? Ridiculously small would be something like eating one bite of a carrot, let's say for lunch. Not just one bite of a carrot, I mean eating whatever you have to eat plus one bite of a carrot. That would be a ridiculously small habit that aims to get you to eat more vegetables. Or you could be doing 2 squats a day. Now, that again is a ridiculously small habit that aims to get you to do more strength training. Okay, and all you do is just 2 squats. That is the ridiculously small version. This version is very, 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 very powerful because there is no resistance. It's just so easy. You can't tell yourself not to do it. I mean, the only problem with this one is that it's forgetting to do it. So you need a good trigger. This is something I go in depth in my habit blueprint course. So go and check it out, especially if you want to make exercise a habit. The only problem with it is, again, not having a good trigger or judging it. Oh, this is too small. What's even the point of doing something so small? Well, the point is there is no resistance. And once there is no resistance, then your brain starts wiring the habit and then you kind of want to do it. And then because you're doing it, now you want to start doing even more. So it creates a domino effect. That's the power of the ridiculously small habits. On the other side of the spectrum, you have radical change. This is like, oh, I'm going to start eating 1,200 calories a day and I'm going to start exercising for 5 hours a week. Now, that is radical change. I'm going to be eating 2 salads every day when I was eating none before. That is very, very, very big change, okay? That shocks you, okay? It is exciting and sexy. Unless it's really inspiring to you and you feel a pull towards it, it is difficult for your brain to wire it as a habit, which is why it has higher failure rates. So this is why radical change would crash. Then somewhere between those two, we'll have small habits. Now, small habits, you still need to think about them. You need to plan them. They will not happen on their own. You need to be focused, but they're not overwhelming like radical change. Of course, add a lot of small habits and it can feel overwhelming. So you have to really balance the situation here. So, but they're not as small as a ridiculously small category. So they're more than that. Like if we have 2 squats a day in the ridiculously small category and we have 5 hours of exercise every week, intense exercise and radical change, a small habit will be going for a 10-minute walk, let's say. That's a small habit, okay? It's something that's achievable. It's easy to do. You can start doing it straight away. This is what we will be discussing today. Let's move on to how many habits are too many. This is important to discuss, okay? In the academy, we don't do more than 10 habits at a time because it's overwhelming. Because even though we always aim for small habits, and by small, the habit doesn't necessarily have to be small, but it's the next step. It's the next logical step based on where you are. So when you're just starting, the habits will be small habits, we call small habits. But as you grow those habits, every incremental step will be a small change. So it will always be a small change based on your current level. Still 6 or maybe 7 at best, I would say is the average. That said, it needs focus. They will not happen on their own again. I have to make that very, very clear, okay? Which is why we have a habit diary, we track, we meet once a week, and other things, because they will just not happen on their own. They will not. Let me move on. When do you stop tracking your habits? You stop tracking your habits when when a behavior is something that is almost automatic for you. So if it's something that you just do, then you no longer need to track it. So if now every day when you wake up in the morning, you go and do your walk, and you no longer need to think about it, this is just something you do, it has become second nature for you, you no longer need to track it. Let me now get started with the different categories. And the first category is the calorie category. We really care about this category because unless you're in a calorie deficit, then you will not be losing any fat. Okay, so this is essential. So if you're losing weight, you need to have a calorie deficit, period. There's no other way around it. So the habit will be to be at a comfortable calorie deficit. So you need to be in a deficit, you'll be losing fat, but it has to kind of feel comfortable to you, because if it feels like it's too much, then we're going into radical change. It's no longer a small habit. So what is a comfortable calorie deficit? It really depends on your starting weight and on your starting calories and on your pre-existing habits. Because the better your habits, the more you can sustain a higher calorie deficit without that deficit feeling hard. For instance, if you already eat healthy, and if you already exercise, and you have a host of those types of habits, then it will be easier for you to drop your calories without feeling hungry, and you will have also more calories to start with because of your higher activity level. So for you, it will be easier to go on a higher calorie deficit compared to someone who's sedentary and has really bad eating habits to start with. So that's what I mean. Now, if you want help with that, I have filmed a video where I'll walk you through my calorie calculator, okay, so you can calculate your calories. But it's really important to pick a calorie deficit that makes sense to you. Don't necessarily pick the one that you think will get you to your goal the fastest, because that's radical change. It might, not necessarily, but it might be radical change, and that has a high probability of crashing and burning, so you might never get to where you want to go, and that is not going there fast. That's actually never getting there. So you gotta pace yourself. At the same time, you don't want to be too slow, because being too slow can be very demotivating. So you need something that's not too fast, but it's not too slow. And what that is, you have to decide. It's a personal choice. The next one is a calorie habit, but it's also a planning habit. And we're going to go into this category afterwards. For those of you who are logging their food, add what you eat before you eat it on your tracker, okay? So if, let's say, you're using MyFitnessPal and you're about to have a meal, you're gonna put that meal on MyFitnessPal before you actually go ahead and eat it. You will not go eat and then add your calories afterwards. The major point of tracking what it is you're eating, especially when it comes to calories, is that you want to be making better decisions. So you want to know how many calories you have left for the day, and then based on that amount, to make the best decisions for yourself. Meaning, do I really want to, let's say, eat those crackers right now? Or would I rather have more calories so I can have, let's say, a bigger dinner? Do I really want to spend some calories having this glass of wine right now? Or would I rather keep my calories and have some chocolate later on? And also, you want to know and be honest with yourself about what it is you're eating. You don't want to go ahead and eat and then calculate your calories and be like, oh no, now I'm on a surplus today, or I didn't meet my deficit because I didn't know what it is that I was eating. Okay, that will just slow you down. It's a small habit. Okay, you're still doing the exact same amount of work, meaning putting in your calories, which takes like a couple of minutes. You're gonna do this anyway, but you're gonna gain a lot more and lose weight a lot faster if you do it in advance, meaning before you eat, so you can make better decisions. Don't lose your power of decision. Now, the next category I'm gonna target is the planning category. Okay, now this is something many people don't really think about. When it comes to weight loss, we tend to think about eating and exercising. We don't think about planning. Yet, weight loss is a matter of focus, and the people who are the most organized will lose more weight. Being an organized person and planning ahead really matters and will make a huge difference in your outcomes. One of the habits that you could be starting today is to plan what you're going to eat the next day. So every day on a daily basis, you're going to think about what is it that you're going to eat the day after. I actually have a course that centers right around that. It's a meal planning habit formula. Go there to go sign up for it. I think right now it's free to join. So go take that course, okay? It will walk you through how to make this type of daily planning habits. This will help you focus on what is it that you're going to eat the next day. It will help you think about the things you don't already know, like, okay, I know what I'm going to have for lunch, and I'm going to have for breakfast, but I don't really know what I'm going to have for dinner. What am I going to have for dinner? Maybe I could make this. Maybe I could make this other thing. Maybe tomorrow morning I should go get some groceries so I can actually have this delicious dinner idea that just came to my head, okay? Making last-minute decisions about food, especially when you're hungry, is not really helping you with weight loss. Okay, this is just common sense. This is a critical habit. The people who plan will lose more weight. This habit, the planning habit, even though it takes like 10 minutes a day to just think about what you're going to eat the next day, will lose you more weight than running 15 miles a week. That's how important it is. So make that a habit. Daily planning, okay? Another habit that is also in the planning category is meal planning twice a week. This is what I found works best for most people. Meal planning once in the weekend and once more, let's say on Wednesday or Thursday for the rest of your week. So each time you plan ahead for, let's say, 2-3 days, okay? Usually planning ahead for the whole week doesn't work because you don't know what leftovers you're gonna have. You don't know if you're gonna have some invitations. You end up eating out some days. So there are lots of unknowns that will mess your plan if it's too long. So usually I found that twice a week works. It's a small habit. It's easy to implement. Please make that a habit, meal planning twice a week. Next one is grocery shopping twice a week. That goes together with the meal planning one. It makes sense because you're going to have fresh ingredients. You're always going to have the things you need to have so that you cook what it is that you need to cook, okay? You're not going to be in the unfortunate situation of wanting to cook something delicious and you don't have the ingredients. So, and then you order out, which is not good for weight loss. Not very good for weight loss. Next one, let's go into the nutrition category. Very important habit, small habit, eating 25 grams of fiber twice a week. Okay, so 25 grams of fiber is actually the minimum requirement for fiber based on most health guidelines. Now that's every day. However, the average American eats around 13 grams or so. It's very rare that you will meet someone who already meets the 25 grams of fiber every day. So when my clients get started with the program, I start them from 25 grams of fiber twice a week. Now, usually they meet that straight away, and then we start increasing, okay? 3 times a week, 4 times a week, or we go to 30 grams, 35 grams, and we increase. Fiber is really important because the more fiber you eat, okay, the less hungry you will feel. If you eat the type of foods that are high in fiber, you will not feel hungry. Okay, you will end up eating more food and losing more weight. You will not be losing weight by eating less. You will be losing weight by eating more, and you will not have a hunger problem, period. You will be able to, let's say, even drop to 1,300 calories, and you will not feel hungry if your eating pattern is really good. And that has a lot to do with fiber. I know it kind of sounds unbelievable, like what? I could be losing weight and not be hungry. I don't believe you. Yes, you will not be hungry if you eat really well. But that is something that you build up one step at a time, and graduating the fiber habit takes months, okay? It takes months to build up your eating pattern to meet that level. Next one, drink one less drink a week, okay? So if you're someone who drinks a lot of alcoholic drinks, those drinks really do add up. And the question is, do you really want to get those calories from drinking? Now, many people are going to be like, yes. Well, I'm not sure. Once you break down the calories of how much you're really getting, I would love to make some calculations for you. Let's say you just have wine and you have 3 glasses of wine 3 times a week, and you do this for a year. That's almost 19,000 calories, which is responsible for 5 pounds, okay? 5 pounds of fat in a year. You're not losing or you're gaining because you're drinking just a glass of wine 3 times a week. By the way, that did not include birthdays, holidays, and all of that, which might increase your drinking. So this is like very light, moderate drinking. The question is, do you want it? Do you want it? Now imagine you have 1 glass of wine every day of the week. Now double that. It's now no longer 5 pounds. It's now 10, 11 pounds a year that you're not losing or you're gaining because of your daily drinking habit. And this is wine we're talking about. I haven't even gotten into cocktails that have double the calories or sometimes 3 times the calories. So now 1 cocktail a week that has 350 calories is like almost 3 glasses of wine in calories. So you're like, oh yeah, I don't drink. I just have, 2 cocktails. Yeah, well, 2 cocktails might be 700 calories a week. Let me just do it. I feel strongly about this. 700 calories a week multiplied by 52. And then if we divide this, that's 10.5 pounds again. 10.5 pounds are those 2 cocktails. So then you get to make a decision. Is this what I want? Is this what I want? Maybe I could be drinking 1 cocktail less a week and save those calories. So that's one small habit to start with. Another habit is eat 1 piece of fruit every day. And you can decide you want to have it for breakfast, you want to have it for afternoon snack, you want to have it as a after dinner dessert. Okay, so this will be your choice. The fruit will help build up your fiber goal, which is what we discussed right before. Most fruits are high in volume they have fiber, okay? So they're very satiating for their calorie content. So they're really good for weight loss. So this is one habit to start building. Another habit, eat 200 grams of vegetables a day. So that would be 200 grams would be like half a pound, a little less than half a pound. I know most people have never thought about, okay, how much am I eating in vegetables every day? But this is a great starting habit. If you eat 200 grams or half a pound of vegetables on a daily basis, that means you're eating some, okay? You're eating some, and then you can start increasing that. If you double that to 1 pound of vegetables, that's a great amount. But that would be radical change. And it doesn't have to be every day, you know? Those habits that I'm talking about, except for the fruit one. The fruit one, yes, please eat a serving of fruit every day. Ideally, you'll be eating 2, but we're talking about small habits here. So let's start with 1. Make that happen. And once it's second nature, add the second one. Now, with the vegetables, you don't necessarily have to eat that amount on a daily basis. It can be twice a week, it can be 5 times a week, okay? It doesn't have to be on a daily basis. You decide how much and how often based on your starting point. Next one, eat 1 serving of cheese less. So if you're somebody who eats a lot of yellow cheese, well, yellow cheese is very, very calorie dense. It's small volume and it's very calorie dense. It's best to treat it as dessert, meaning just like you see dessert as something you should be having small quantities of, same with cheese. So if you're the type of person who eats a lot of cheese, you might start thinking about, and especially if that is yellow cheese, okay, the type of that has 120 calories per ounce, now is the time that maybe you should start thinking, okay, I'm gonna have 1 serving size less, let's say a week or something like that. Next one, for those of you who track their food, amazing choice. If you use an app like MyFitnessPal, you can see the daily grams of saturated fat you're getting. Now, that is really, it's a habit that really affects your health because saturated fat increases your chances for heart disease, okay? And the guidelines say that 10% of your calories or less should be from saturated fat, okay? And actually, if you do the habit I talked about earlier, which is the fiber habit, as you increase your fiber, you will find that naturally your saturated fat will go down because you are gradually replacing foods that had saturated fat with foods that are high in fiber that don't have saturated fat, okay? So what do I mean by 10% of your calories? So let's say every day you're having, your calories are 1900. So 10% of your calories will be 190 calories. Now, if we divide this by 9 calories per gram, that gives you, because every gram of fat has 9 calories, that will give you 21 grams of saturated fat. If you're already tracking your food and if you're using an app that can give you how much saturated fat you're getting, go see, do you exceed the 10%? Because if you do, maybe you'd like to start decreasing, you start to like to pay attention to the items that you are eating that are high in saturated fat and start cutting down on them. Next habit, this is something we do and it's one of the reloaded 7, okay? So we start, one of the first 7 habits that we start with in the Academy straight away, and that is eating legumes, okay? Lentils, beans, chickpeas, half a cup, maybe twice a week or 3 times a week is a great small habit to start with. Now, for some people, this is very easy, meaning if you used to eat those types of foods anyway, it's very easy because you already know a lot of recipes. But if you're like the average American, chances are it's like, okay, I have to make lentils. Now, how am I going to make them? Beans? Okay. How am I going to cook them? So that brings me into the next category, which is the cooking one, okay? Cooking category. Find 1 high fiber recipe, okay, a week. And that can be for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, can be a dessert one, or it can be a snack one. You want more of those recipes because I'm telling you, if you have a weight problem right now, it's not because you'll be eating too much fiber. Chances are you will lack a recipe repertoire that's high in fiber. So this is a very important thing, a very important habit that we do at Fitness Reloaded straight away. It's one of, again, this habit, the recipe one, is one of our Reloaded 7. So it's one of the first 7 habits we start with because I want to get people into finding the right recipes that will assist them with their goals. Okay, so recipes that make them feel satiated in fewer calories and they're very delicious, meaning that for them and their family, they achieve go-to status. Meaning this is the type of thing that you want to be making, twice a month at least because you like it. It has a go-to status. So to develop this repertoire, you got to start putting your mind into it, okay? You got to find that recipe. Or you can transform a current favorite into a high fiber one. That's another habit. Another habit, an easy one, okay? Decrease the amount of oil you use when you cook, okay, to up to 1 tablespoon per serving. So if let's say you're making a soup that has 4 servings, don't use more than 4 tablespoons of oil. And whenever you see a recipe that's out there that's clearly not made for weight loss, adjust that amount of fat. That can be butter, that can be oil. Adjust that so you have 1 tablespoon of oil or less per serving. That will help you a lot with weight loss because oil will not really have any good satiating benefits and it's very calorie dense. You can hardly see it, but it's very calorie dense. So it's not ideal for when you're trying to lose weight. We're trying to be really, really smart with your calories. Okay, another habit is eating about 15% of your calories from the high yield group. Now, what is a high yield group? At Fitness Regular, we do calorie investing, okay? That's the method that we use, that I have created for my clients to help them lose weight. And in the high yield group, we have the foods that are both high in fiber, so we're talking 6 grams of fiber or more per 100 calories, and are high in volume, okay? Strawberries, for instance, would meet that. Eggplant, it would meet that. Cauliflower meets that, okay? These are some examples. So if on a daily basis, let's say you have 2,000 calories a day, 15% of your calories will be 300 calories. If you put in 300 calories from the high yield group, oh my God, you're going to be so stuffed. You are going to be stuffed. Now that I'm thinking about it, 15% of your calories from the high yield group is pretty amazing. You can start with 10. You can start with even 5, depending on your starting level. Because again, what is a small habit also is relative to your starting point. So you're looking at the next step for you, okay? So high yield, you got to meet those two conditions. 6 grams of fiber per 100 calories, okay? And high volume, okay? It has to be a high volume food, like the fruits, for example, or like the vegetables. Because you may go to the grocery store and get a fiber bar, and you're thinking, oh, I have a little fiber. Yes, maybe, but it's small volume, so it doesn't meet the volume requirement. Now, let's move on to the next category, which is exercise, okay? One habit is increasing your daily steps by 1,500. So let's say if you're currently doing 4,000 steps, bump it up to 5,500 steps. This is a great habit to increase your daily activity level. And step by step, you can keep on increasing until you reach 10,000 steps or more, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get there. Going from 4,000 steps to 10,000 steps straight away, that will be radical change and not a small habit. Another habit, strength training for, let's say, 15 to 30 minutes twice a week. So not anything crazy here, 15 minutes. Most people can do that. 30 minutes, again, most people can do that for twice a week. So you can start doing it right now. There's no excuses. You just got to commit. Go for the walk around the block after lunch, okay? Another small habit that will help you meet the steps we just talked about today. Just before, inserting small walks throughout the day is actually something we do in the academy. Let's say I'm going for a walk after breakfast or after lunch or after dinner, and it really helps increase your daily activity level, because right now, I've talked about in this video, our environment wants to make us have extra fat issues, okay? Wants to make us fat, and one of the ways it's doing that is by keeping us sedentary, because life is based around convenience. So you gotta make your life inconvenient to be healthier, okay? And one of the ways to do that is by starting to include walks after you eat is a great habit. Or you can start, let's say, having some bike to work days if that works for your particular situation. Okay, that would be another habit. Once or twice a week, not too often. Okay, small habits. Or another way you could start with exercise is to, let's say, go for hiking with your friends once every other weekend. So instead of being social and, let's say, grabbing brunch, you can go for a hike and then go have brunch. Or you can skip the brunch and just go for a hike. And you don't have to do it all the time. You can do it like once every other weekend, which is fine. And it will give you an opportunity to stay social while doing something healthy. It's good for everybody. Adopt this habit. Okay, next, we're going to move on to mindset. Now, for mindset, I have multiple techniques that I explain in the program, and I will try to explain just a few of them really, really, really quickly, okay? So one of them is the butt technique, and I talked about it in my weight loss affirmations video, okay, right here. Basically, what you're doing with the butt technique is you start with something that is a barrier for you right now, a thought that's a barrier, and then you insert the but, okay, B-U-T, and then you refute it, okay? You find reasons to refute it, a lot of buts. So for example, let's say, my friends will disapprove of me if I do not drink. That's something that someone who is afraid of peer pressure would think about, okay? But maybe they won't. Maybe that's just what I think, but that's not what's going to happen. But real friends would be supportive of my weight loss goals, okay? But my health is more important than what other people might want me to do. See, I'm completing it now with but, and this way I weaken that original statement that was a barrier for me to do what it is that I have to do. And that can be a habit of yours. You can make it a habit to practice the BAT technique once or twice a week so that you strengthen your mind and you think straight so you make better decisions. Another technique that I teach is the easy true. This is when you actually actively question something that, again, is a barrier for you. For example, I don't want to go to this event because people will be judging me for my weight. And then you ask yourself, is it 100% absolutely true that people will be judging you for your weight? What people? And is it 100% absolutely true that even if they do, you shouldn't go to the event? Okay, two things to question here. Or another example, it doesn't matter if I overeat because I'm not going to lose weight anyway. Well, is it 100% absolutely true that you're not going to lose weight and hence it doesn't matter? Okay, this is something that needs practice, especially the "it doesn't matter" thought is part of the enemy mindset. That's how I call it, and it holds people back like crazy because you're thinking, it doesn't matter if I do this, it doesn't matter if I do this other thing, and then they end up not doing all sorts of things, and then they're not going to go anywhere. Next one, use the 10-minute rule or the 24-hour rule when you have a craving that would put you on a surplus today. What are those rules? 10-minute rule is you got a craving, you wait for 10 minutes. You still have it, you go eat. 24-hour rule. You got a craving for something, you can totally eat that thing, but tomorrow. So put it in your plan for the next day to eat the thing that you're craving, whether it's a croissant or dessert or chocolate or whatever. You will eat it, just not today because you had not planned for it. But you will eat it tomorrow because now you're planning to eat it. So these are two alternate ways that you can quickly use to address some cravings. And what makes more sense for you depends on your situation, okay? Another habit you could do is write about all the reasons weight loss is self-care for you, okay? This is very important to practice, especially if you do this to your daily habit, because many people have the tendency to think of weight loss as punishment. Well, weight loss, if you do have a need to lose weight is the ultimate act of self-care. It's you taking care of your body, increasing your quality of life, okay? You will be increasing your quality of life. You will be taking care of this wonderful body that you have. It's self-care. So write down all those reasons about how you're taking care of your body by losing weight. You can't claim, it's more difficult to make the claim that you're taking care of your body when you're trying to punish your body to do the things you want your body to do, okay? That weight loss is not exactly self-care. I wouldn't say that. But if you're taking a lot of positive steps to create positive, good habits for you to start losing weight loss is self-care. Reflect on that so you don't let anything, any one of those other thoughts stop you. Because when you're feeling that you're punishing yourself and you're forcing yourself and all of that, then you want to rebel against that, and that will slow down your progress. Small habits that make a big difference. Now let's talk about meal structure. Let's say I will increase my lunch by 150 calories so that I don't get overly hungry in the afternoon. Let's say you're someone who eats a very small lunch. That happens sometimes. Sometimes people even skip lunch. So fixing that problem is one way to manage your meals and your appetite better throughout the day. Meal structure is something that's completely overlooked. I don't see people really talking about it, but it's really important, especially with cravings, because you might have a craving, and the reason you have craving is not really that you have a cravings for sweets or sugar or salty stuff. It's because you were hungry because you didn't do good meal structure, okay? Another habit, I'm going to push dinner to 7 p.m. so that I don't struggle with cravings at night, okay? Exactly that. Or I'm going to account for 150 calories snack at 10 p.m., okay, at night in my planning so I can eat at night guilt-free. That's another meal structure thing. You like eating at 10 p.m.? Sure. Put it in your planning and schedule it so it's there and you get to eat guilt-free. And finally, the last category is what I call routine B. So we have routine A and routine B. Routine A are the things that are usually under your control, okay? This is your typical weekday, okay? Routine B is when things that are outside of your control, start affecting your day. Like you have an invite to go out, you have friends over, you're on holiday. All those things are routine B. So here are some habits. Pick what to eat in the restaurant in advance, okay? This is a habit you could have. You know what restaurant you're gonna go to, pick what you're gonna eat before you get there. Or you have an invitation to go to some friend of yours, okay? Find a recipe to bring over. Find a recipe that makes sense for you and cook it and bring it with you. So you don't just depend on the foods that other people are going to cook. Another habit, take fruits with you when you go for a road trip. Don't just go and let yourself, just be exposed to the environment. Like I said before, the environment wants to make you gain weight and then stay there. So it will be really hard to find good options when you're out and about. So get with you, bring with you whatever you can. These are some habits that will help you lose a lot of weight, okay? I know we've covered a lot today, and you might be thinking, oh, Maria, like, where do I start? These are too many. I feel completely overwhelmed. If you do feel like that, please come in the academy and I will help you. I will help you put all these habits into a system so that you know what habits you should be doing each week. You don't yet try to address habits that you will be better off addressing, let's say 3 months later or 5 months later. You don't have to do all habits at once. But at the same time, if you're right now feeling overwhelmed, that is not a reason for you to do nothing. So don't let that stop you from where you want to go. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, like and subscribe. This helps my videos get higher reach, which is very important because this is actually what works with weight loss. Check this out. Habit change. It's not the shakes and the detox diets and the cleansings and all the fats. It's only by changing your habits that you will not just lose weight, but you will also get to keep it off. So important. So if you want to retire from weight loss, want science-based information, please like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching my video. I'll see you again next week. Okay, goodbye.